Alright, hello again from Hong Kong. Alright, here are two of the combiner boxes that I've made. One is a 24 volt, one is a 12 volt. And on each boat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have three of these. Because I use Morningstar exclusively because I'm very comfortable with the hardware, the reliability, and the monitoring is just outstanding. So, but what it'll be is I'll have two 24 volt combiner boxes and one 12 volt combiner box. And because what I do is I use for the 24 volts, I use a 300 watt panel. And I'll either have 4 or 5 panels connected to one controller. So what I have is basically 5 panels can come in at 300 watts, and they go through the system and they come out to one controller. So that's within the parameters of a Morningstar or the TS60 MPPT. So if these were two 24 volts, they would go out to two MPPT 60s. And then if I had the 12 volt was here, it would go to TS60 PWM. And because at the end of the day, I just want to charge a 12 volt. But I live off of my 24 volt, so I want the matching PowerPoint tracking on that. So basically what we have here is I have my MC4 connectors. Here's my MC4 connectors that come into the combiner box. And I break the negative and the positive of each panel. And what I've done is I've had these breakers made because all the DC breakers I see online are rated at 250 volts DC. The largest battery bank I have is a 32 volt bank that's on the Bertrams. So I asked and I said, make me something that's between 9 and 48 volts. So as you can see here, this is a max of 48 volts. This is within my realm. 250 volts DC is just way out of the ballpark. I want something that's going to be for what I use. So I've got 5 panels in, 5 breakers, so I can isolate each panel as I want. Isolate that. I've got my my surge protection, and this one is a 24 volt, and then I can isolate each panel, and I have a 50 amp main disconnect. So that it is, so I can just totally isolate the whole thing with the flip of one switch. Very simple. So there it is. So that would go out to one controller. And now let's take a look inside. And as you can see, I've got my MC4 connectors coming in, my negative and positives. Inside this, I'm using 6 mm square wire, which in America they use the AWG, which I think is about 10 gauge. And so okay, so this is in, that's out, and here is my ground. So what it is on this, I've got my positive and my negative are still in with this whole system. So if surge happens, then comes in. Those won't be green anymore. And that's pretty much how it works. And then here's where as you can see, the minus and the plus, this is where it goes out. I'll be installing cable glands here that'll go out for the positive and the negative to the controller. And then the ground will also go out. Depending on the boat, for the ground I may just put in a nipple here and just connect all 3 and then just straight out. But that is how every combiner box I'm going to have on every boat. Because the thing is, you can buy 6 string combiners, but they don't match what I need on the boat. Because I live off-grid. I'm an off-grid kind of guy. So these are made just for me because real estate is one thing I don't have like people do on the land. I'm on the water, I'm on the boat. So what I have on top of the fly bridge, what's on the bow, I use the space that I can. For this 12 volt system, again, I use 150 watt panels because of the size, and because 5 of them work together to go to one pulse width modulator Morningstar controller. And then over here, I've got the same, but this is the 24 volt, and this goes to the MPPT. So the maximum of 60 amps, I'm within that realm. I don't go over it. I'm safe. And I've got the distance from my panels to this combiner are probably within, I would say within 4 to 6 meters. And that's what, about 12 feet. And that, so and again, I use everything is at 6 mm square or 10 gauge to that. So panels in, I have control here, and then this would go out to my Morningstar controllers. So I need to also isolate on the other side of the controllers. I have these boxes. These kind of pop open. These pop open, and I'm able to put in another plastic board. I don't know where the hell it went, but I have another one. But inside that, then I've got disconnects. This is up to 250 amp, single, on and off, and I would have that. But also inside this here, what I do have is, let's look at these right here. So like right here, I've got blocking diodes. They're up to 200 amps. So this is just a single. So like on the 12 volt, I would use this 200 amp blocking diode. Again, just another piece of safety equipment. Again, I'm on a boat. When you're 300 miles out to sea, I don't have a personal Jesus that owns a helicopter that's going to come like that. You're going to be waiting a while. So again, got to have these. Now, but when I put two 24 volts together, and that after the controllers in that, I've got, so I can, it's just in one unit here. So what it is I've got this diode, which is this one here, jumps over to this point. Then I have another one that comes to this point. So I've got two 200 amp diodes inside one unit. So again, space is something I'm concerned about. So I have that. So those are going to be in, in these boxes here. So they're nice boxes. They're not that expensive. These are waterproof as well. So they got the rubber foam. But again, everything is plastic because of the salt water, being on a boat. But these are my controllers, and I think I'm going to be pretty happy with them. I've got to make several. I've got to make 12. 12 total units. And I'm going to have that on every boat. And all the Morningstars, and then I'm putting in some different Wi-Fi GSM type stuff, so I can go, and doesn't matter where I'm at, is on my phone I can see how much power is being made by every boat, and etc., etc., etc. So, but that's what's going on here, and that's what they look like. And I think they're, I kind of found the parts here and there, talked with factories, got everything going, and it looks good. And then if you have 3 of them together, see, because I don't have the height, as you've got on the land, you've got 8-9 foot, tall walls and stuff. I don't have that luxury. So these are mainly going to go underneath the fly bridge, up on the roof up there. These are going to go up underneath the fly bridge, underneath the helm where you drive, and so we'll have that. So again, that's why it's coming in. Got the controllers. Goes to a large single bus, positive, negative, and be running 102 mm square wire, which is in the AWG American gauge, is 40 wire, or they call it 4/0. And so then that goes straight down to the battery, and that's how she works. But there's my controls. Combiner boxes by Allen. Alright guys, be good, be safe, be well. Bye-bye.